theme of the forum. You can see the timings across the Asia. What will be the timings? So the agenda runs like this: the welcome introduction. This will be done by me. Topic introduction will be done by Bob Will, General Manager Asia, ARC Advisory Group. Followed by the topic introduction, we'll have the speaker, Esteban Remises, Chief Information Officer from Maxine. This will be followed up by a panel discussion between ARC and Esteban. And then after that, it will be left open for the audience Q&A. The whole program duration will be around 60 minutes, and we are pretty conscious that we would like to close it at around 60 minutes. We don't like to exceed the 60 minutes. So that will be when we have the session with Q&A with delegates, we request all the delegates to put their questions through the chat or questions box. You can also raise your hand to ask questions live, but the organizer will unmute you at that time. But it's still preferable for us to put the questions under the chat or questions box. This is part of the Digital Transformation Council initiative that is being done from US. So we started doing digital transformation councils for industry, smart cities, supply chain, and also Asia. So this is part of the series that's happening from ARC. This enables the end users to interact with the peer community. The delegates will have free access to the council library. The delegates will have the access to interact with ARC analysts, and also they will have the access to get the survey reports. They can also see the forum archives for the next 3 months. Coming to the first speaker of the event, I am privileged to invite Bob Gill, General Manager, Southeast Asia, ARC Advisory Group, to introduce the topic introduction on digital and driving digital transformation. Bob, can you make him speaker? Yes, Bob.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roman.
Yeah.
And yes, digital transformation. This is a term I think you would all be familiar with by now, the subject of numerous articles, books, industry conferences, and even graduate courses at universities. So yes, you can do a master's degree in digital transformation. And it is capturing this level of attention because of the arrival and availability of a host of new technologies, which are enabling businesses to attain new levels of performance by improving aspects such as operational efficiency, worker safety, service provision, and by facilitating the development of new revenue models. So it's important that we learn about technologies like cloud, edge, analytics, AI, AR, VR, IoT, and what they can do for us. But we also need to understand how to execute successful digital transformation, especially considering that transformation takes place in an organizational context, meaning that we will very likely need to consider aspects such as skills, leadership, culture, communications, and very importantly, the overall readiness of the organization to embark on digital transformation. Now, one of the stated aims of the DTC, the Digital Transformation Council, is to enable members to learn and share with peers who are digitizing and transforming their organizations. And I myself, I firmly believe that if we can hear from others who have already started down the digital transformation path, it can be a really invaluable learning experience for those who are still looking to make that leap into digital transformation. So that's by getting insights into questions such as, what made you start? How did you decide on priorities and what to do first? Who did you partner with? Which technology companies? What about the resistances and challenges you faced? And after all that, what have been the benefits for the business? And it's with all that in mind that I'm really happy to also extend my welcome to Esteban Remises, CIO for Maxine, who I first met in Singapore about 3 years ago. So I'm really happy to see him again. And he's going to be telling us all about driving digital transformation at his multinational company, which is the world's largest manufacturer of steel and aluminium wheels. So with that introduction, I'm really happy to hand over to Esteban Ramez from Maxine. Esteban, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bob. Rahman, can you guys hear me well? I think I'm on. A little bit about myself. Guys, maybe, yeah. Let's get started. Okay. Yes, it's been a couple of years. It's been a long journey. At that time, Bob, when we met, Rahman, in Singapore, I was the region Asia Pacific CIO for one of the top 5 tier 1 suppliers in automotive, ZF. Company is still growing. At that time, with a presence of over 20,000 employees and 100 legal entities in Asia Pacific. And since I've moved now to a corporate role as Vice President for IT and Digital Transformation in Kpis. Very pleased to be here again and share that journey, that experience that we have embarked on since in Kpis, focusing on digital transformation and of course on IT as well in strategy and deployment of corporate solutions to drive digital in our company. So let's get started. A little bit about me. I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I graduated in 2 degrees in Australia, so close to Singapore. Today I'm the CIO, VP of Information Technology and Digital. Before 10 years in Asia Pacific, and also still today the chairman of the China CIO Alliance. We have very close collaboration as well with Evanta, a Gartner company, and overall over 20 years in automotive experience. Let's get a little bit a hang on what's happening today. We are, as we know, a little bit in a VUCA world, meaning volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But added to that, we had an incredible surprise, Black Swan event. We all know, and we were all impacted and still being impacted about this Black Swan event, the coronavirus. If we look into that, we can define a new normal. From today on, things won't be anymore like they were before. So what does that have to do with digital? If we look at all these companies, Uber, the world largest taxi company, but doesn't own any vehicles. Airbnb, the largest accommodation provider that today still doesn't own any real estate, but is very interested in looking at deploying their own landmark. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, and Netflix, as well as Alibaba, the most valuable retailer that has no inventory. None of these companies existed 20 years ago, and they are all digital native companies. So digital transformation, IoT, Industry 4.0, and the digital future is not tomorrow, it's actually today. We need to close this gap. We need to move faster, and digital allows us to do that. What is behind this digital transformation and these requirements is shorter time to market, global product strategies, global innovation strategies. We have also new players in the market, overall a new ecosystem, new demands from the market. So Industry 4.0, digital transformation, Internet of Things are making this journey possible. A couple of facts about the company. So we're over 100 years in business. It's a Brazilian headquartered company. It's a family established company, and now it's traded in the Brazilian Stock Exchange. We are the largest steel and aluminum wheel manufacturer in the world, but we're also in structural components. When it goes to wheels, it's very likely that if you're driving your car today, your bus or a truck is delivering something to you today, the wheels that are rolling on those vehicles are our wheels. And let's have a look a little bit at our strategy in digital transformation. Digital transformation for us, and I guess for all of us here, it's a must. We need to solve real business issues. We enable and create new competencies. We want to have a market leadership, a competitive advantage, and also better serve our customers. We have created integrated functions and integrated businesses based on digital transformation. We create also new business opportunities with new products and services. We improve our financial results and overall improve and transform our business to create value by doing things differently, digitally differently. So data, as we know, is at the root of all of this. Of course, connectivity to that data is also at the root of all of this. We connect our digital ecosystem to our logistics, to our manufacturing shop floor, to mobility, to our electricity, to our products, and of course, also to our buildings. The first step that we have done at Maxine to define our digital transformation journey is to define where we want to go, how we want to win, from the core competencies to adjacent technologies to transformational technologies. We created new products and business models by digital process innovation and digital product innovation. The result is for us new products and services. We could only achieve that by an interdisciplinary digital transformation approach. What do I mean by this? We have our business processes and functions. We have our existing tools and systems. We have data analytics. If we combine this, this is how we deliver digital transformation by designing, defining new technologies, new services, and new products, both internal in our company as to the market. As a result, I'm very proud to say that in the last IAA in Frankfurt, Maxine launched the first digitally enabled product, and it's a world premiere, the first smart wheel in the market. We're at the moment defining the go-to-market strategy. The product is a successful product, and now we're discussing with our customers how to implement it in their vehicle fleets. Great advantage of this is the coming regulations, especially for the sustainability, are requesting vehicles to deliver data. A lot of this data is delivered by the onboard compute, but none has been able to deliver the road conditions, the load conditions, the pressure conditions, the temperature conditions of their wheels and transportation. And this is what we are addressing with this product. How did we launch our digital transformation initiative? The first that we did is create a sense of digital transformation community, a sense of community where everybody in our company could participate on, every function, every operation. By doing this, we created what we call the Digital Transformation Champion organization. Each one of our plants defined their own champion, and then we orchestrated those champions to define specific technologies that we wanted to address and how to utilize and implement those technologies in our company. We did at the same time an inventory of ongoing initiatives that we could then cluster and focus on, because otherwise we will have too many dissipated and the efforts and the outcomes will not be as efficient. So we did an evaluation of the technologies and solutions that we were working on in the market. Also in our company, we clustered them and we began championing those that were more promising to our operations. As a result, we came up with examples. We have our scorecard on the challenge we want to address. We see the pros and cons. We also see what are the success factors for that initiative. And then we define the benefit together with the operations. We do a calculation and ROI, and we launch those initiatives. What we're seeing at the moment is one of the cases we have in operation, which is predictive maintenance. As a result of this type of initiatives, this specific case, and of course, it's done with our internal partners in the business, with external strategic partners, In this case, and you can click later on when the presentation is shared, we won the 2019 Manufacturing Leadership Award, and it was not just any award, but we were competing in the event for the prize with Cisco, with General Mills, with IBM, and with Northrop Grumman. So Maxine Wheels received the first prize with this digital transformation initiative that we launched together with the National Manufacturing Association in the US. So we're very proud of this success. What is our success formula? It's very simple. We think big, we see our strategy, we see where we want to go, we make our roadmap, we decide where and how we want to get there, we engage and act fast, but we start small. We cannot start with big bangs and implement, because the effort, the change management, the cost is too high. So we do our POVs. We don't use the terminology POC or MPV. We use in the company for our digital transformation initiatives the POV. POV means proof of value. We're not interested in seeing if this a proof of concept would work. We're interested in seeing, is this going to deliver value? And we define and we do tests and pilots to define the value that they will bring. So we call them proof of value. We fail fast. What does this mean? If it's not delivering value, we don't spend time on it. We learn the lesson and then we reload, relaunch, and see and find and scout and focus on those initiatives that will definitely deliver value. Technology is a separate topic. You can have different ways of reaching those results with different technologies. First of all, we want to prove the value. Then we engage definite technology partners and we begin scaling up. I said at the beginning, we were in VUCA times, volatile, uncertain, complex, and very ambiguous. Now it's the right time to change it to VUCA 2.0. What does that mean? We need to have the vision, see through all this chaos that we're having at the moment, don't get lost in this chaos, keep the values and strategy, and of course, go with the flow, go with the waves. Make sure that those crises, those challenges are converted into opportunities. As a result, no more than ever, digital transformation, AI, and machine learning are taking a leading role. Understanding. What we need to do is the deep understanding of our capabilities and strategies and take advantage of these rapidly changing circumstances. Keep focus on technologies, make sure that we address our demands. Of course, that needs a lot of courage. We need to step up to these challenges, be bold, nimble, take risks, but the biggest risk is not to move forward, not to make these decisions, not to embark in our initiatives. Adaptability. Agile, dynamic, and adaptable tactics are the key to succeed. This is a permanently moving world, new circumstances, goods. We are having situations where, for example, after the pandemic hit the automotive industry, the OEMs stopped manufacturing because of the impact of the global market. Now we're relaunching manufacturing, but the automotive industry is being impacted by the shortage of microchips necessary. So new ways of supply chain, new settings of manufacturing, new localizations and geographical distributions of footprints are being addressed. For that, adaptability is the key. In short, from volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, we need to go to visionary, understanding, clear, and agile companies. Bob, that's from my side.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much, Esteban. And I can see you've done an awful lot and you've seen considerable success as well. I'm really interested to expand and explore on some of the things that you talked about. But First of all, what was the initial trigger for Maxine to actually embark on this whole digital transformation initiative? I mean, sometimes we find with companies, it's the CEO saying, no, you must do this. It's perhaps the strategic review that the company's been through, or maybe even they've seen a competitor do something similar. But in your case, what was the driver for doing this?
Thanks, Bob. Well, the first driver was the understanding that it must be done. And this was adopted at the board level and then at the executive level. And our CEO is the #1 champion for digital transformation in our organization. We formed a team of executive multifunctions, and we launched the digital transformation drive already at the end of 2017, started in 2018, we consolidated, and from then on, everybody has become a champion. Still, of course, with our CEO at the helm.
So some of those people, were they from all the different business units and from all the different regions?
Correct. We have now our digital transformation initiative has champions in each one of our operations and in our functions. And we have also regional digital transformation champions, which coordinate the regional initiatives. And that is done across all business units and divisions, across all countries and across all functions.
Okay. So you mentioned that the CEO was really the champion of the initiative. So did he need to be persuaded, or was he already mostly on board already?
He's the #1 champion. He needn't to be persuaded. He's very into new technologies, and together with the board, the supervisory board, the owners of the company, we understood that this was not an option, this was a must. We needed to see how to deploy in a reasonable way, in an efficient and profitable way, digital in our operations.
Okay, so you detailed quite a number of different projects, and I think it's interesting that you're covering both the process but also the products. You mentioned the wheel. So with all those different projects and possibilities, how did you prioritize? Which ones to do first, or which ones to do ahead in the sequence of the things that you wanted to do?
Excellent question, Bob. We have an inventory of these initiatives. We held many workshops together with the business and understood where the business had the highest priorities. So we sat down together with the business and we defined our priority sequence. Based on that, because many of those initiatives could have many options and variants, we cherry-picked those ones that had the highest and fastest ROI. So we have a measure in which we say, okay, the ROI is 18 months or less, those come first. Those that take 18 months or further, those come after. We want to focus on those low-hanging fruits first to prove that the value is there and then scale up.
Okay. So I was interested to see your success formula I think on one of your slides, and you mentioned as a component of that fail fast. And I know you spent some time, quite a number of years in Asia, where perhaps the attitude to failure is not the same as it is in perhaps some parts of the rest of the world. So surely, some companies, there would be limited appetite for failure. You cannot just keep on failing and then the executives are going to be happy. So how did you approach that part of it?
Excellent question, Bob. It's a cultural shift. Everybody originally, we all praise for success. We're not praised for failure, right? But we cannot stretch the limit where we want to succeed and in the meantime commit too many failures and not be certain if we will succeed. So introducing the concept of failing fast means simply, guys, if this is not going to work, let's kill it fast so that we can reignite an initiative. Let's learn from that and discard that so that we don't spend additional resources that could be used into something that will prove value. So this fail fast principle was then understood as a means to succeed. And therefore, we could launch those ways of thinking. And you're absolutely right. The appetite for failure, for being fast in Asia is completely different than it is in Europe or the rest of the world. So bringing that into the equation was a change. Once it was understood, we understood that, okay, if it's not going to work, take it out of the way, bring something that might work. And this is how we began implementing this cultural shift in the business, that failing fast is nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. So culture was an important ingredient in what you were doing, that aspect.
Change management is essential, yes.
Okay. I think another thing you talked about was the number of technologies that you deployed. I think you mentioned AI, AR, VR, additive manufacturing, I remember from your slide. So presumably you had to build up organizational capability and skills in those technologies. So how did you actually go about doing that?
That's a challenging way of going about it. And first of all, we need to get in the buy-in from business. So the understanding of those technologies and the requirement to build up capabilities. And very often those resources that will build up those capabilities are some of the most valuable resources within the organization. And the business was at the beginning a little bit skeptical of sharing those resources, because if they were some of the most valuable ones, they would be busy in some of the most valuable projects. Then we understood, or we brought it to their attention, that if they were that capable, then the implementation of those value-adding solutions with digital will deliver even further value to the organization. So they began sharing those resources with a little less skepticism. And at the same time, we needed to go into the market and define strategic partnerships that could augment and collaborate together with those resources in our organization to deliver those technologies and solutions. I can tell you there is a lot of PowerPoint magicians out there in the market, but finding those true strategic partners that actually want to grow and deliver value with you, that is one of the most complex challenges that you will find in your operations to define your success.
Okay, interesting. So building this partner ecosystem was a key success factor for you, you believe?
Absolutely. No company I'm aware of can do this by themselves. We are not an exception. So defining these true partnerships, win-win scenarios, was essential to the success. And we're still in the journey. There's a lot more to come, Bob.
So those partners, they would be technology suppliers, is that right? Or
correct.
Technology suppliers, okay. Now this is one of those obvious questions that we always hear at those conferences, but I'd like to know your answer to this. But so what were some of the biggest challenges you faced or are still facing in this large endeavor of yours in digital transformation?
There are several challenges, Bob, and I doubt that these are unique to our company. But one of them, of course, is the availability of resources. Like I mentioned before, many of those resources are strategic to some very relevant initiatives in the company. So having their availability to support additional initiatives, which are very new in some areas, is always a trade-off. Meaning, okay, if you're going to do that, what is it that you're not going to do? And having always this alignment, especially during these times where the automotive industry is by far the largest impacted, together possibly with the travel and tourism industry in the world, having an excess of resources is not exactly the case at the moment. Another one of those largest challenges is the adoption, the understanding. Many of the priorities in the operations are focused on the normal running of those operations, the efficient running of those operations. So having some of those traditional functions in the operations, understanding these paradigm shifting technologies has and keeps being a challenge, because also for them it's a trade-off. Okay, if I'm going to invest into that, what is it that I cannot invest into? So there is at the moment a trade-off until things again stabilize and normalize and possibly everything goes back into the normal operation models. We are in any decision-making process in a trade-off. And that is not the exception for digital transformation.
Okay. I appreciate that you may not be able to reveal certain financial information, but do you perceive that this program has been a financial success for the company?
It is and keeps being. I just mentioned we launched together as a result a new product. This product will make a difference in the market. There is no product like that in the market, and there is a lot of customers already interested in introducing this product. This is just the one facing the market. If we look at what's facing our internal operations, the degree of productivity, we're targeting a 10% on our global productivity to be delivered by digital transformation. This is our target. And this is at the moment a stretch target, especially for a traditional manufacturing industry. But if you look at it, it's the only way where you can then confirm that your journey is worth it. Yeah. On the other side, we have a lot of other soft savings, introducing process automations, et cetera, in a way that not anymore the people needs to work into this manual reporting, collecting Excels, et cetera, but they can focus on what are those numbers telling me? What can I do with those numbers? So there are truly hard savings that we're targeting, as well as soft savings that we're targeting. And people are beginning to understand it, and they're jumping in. I believe if we have this call in 1 year time, my problem will be, how can I supply to all that demand? At the moment, my problem is, how can I make the trade-off between the different demands? Yeah. So, but this is very likely going to change. We embarked this 2 years ago, and I think we're in a very good stage at the moment.
So does that mean for the projects that you talked about, was there strict financial measurement in terms of did we achieve the ROI that we expected?
Yes, that was the first target to show objectively that they were sustainable, that they were delivering value. From then on, we could have derivatives into other initiatives which have a little bit more a soft saving component.
Okay. So you started this journey back in 2017, I think you said.
End of 2017, I joined half 2018, and from then. And I must say, Bob, I'm very also appreciative. A lot of our colleagues in the ARC and in the network were very happy to share their experiences. We could then contrast this. It's not just a matter of internal and external partnerships, also throughout the network, best practice sharing, learning, cost avoidance, situation avoidance. That is very important as well in the ecosystem.
Okay, so that's about 3-4 years ago. So where are you now on the journey in terms of where you would like to get to?
I'd say we're halfway there. Yeah.
Okay. So that means you do have a roadmap that stretches out into the rest of this decade, or a large part of this decade.
We have a roadmap that goes until 2025. We review this one every 2 years because, especially in IT and DT, it's a very fast-moving world.
Okay, thank you. Before we go on, as Raman mentioned, we do have opportunities for questions, and we would definitely like to receive your questions for Esteban. So, Lena, do we have any questions right now?
No. Right now, we do not have any questions from anyone. I've just put a comment to the entire audience, so maybe we'll get it now.
Yes, we certainly would encourage either your questions or comments if you're doing something similar to Esteban to give your viewpoints.
Yeah, I got one question. This is from Mr. Nick Monger. He has asked a question. As you digitize existing processes and create new digital products, do you see an increased risk from cybersecurity breaches? And if yes, how are you dealing with that risk?
That's a very good question. So we understood cybersecurity has been always a risk. So as we move into being more connected and more digital, we also move into making and hardening our perimeters and systems against cyber attacks. We have constant monitoring and benchmarking also with service providers to understand our perimeters at risk, and we keep hardening that. In short, the answer is we're dealing with it in the same way by building and including technologies and measures to improve our cyber resilience.
So cybersecurity was a key element of what you were doing. You took that into account.
Correct. And in any new technology consideration, we do also a due diligence on the cybersecurity content and hardening of this technology to ensure that we're not incorporating a risk in our operations.
Okay. Lena, do we have any more right now?
We do not have. So I'm just waiting for the questions.
Okay.
But perhaps a topic that could be relevant to the discussion is that not all of our operations are moving at the same pace. And this is important to note. We're also the result of mergers and acquisitions. And with that, we have different technology maturities in our operations. So something that we incorporated as part of our digital transformation journey is our Industry 4.0 readiness assessment. That means that each one of our operations, we assess on their readiness to become digital, and based on their score, we target the type of technologies that could be adopted in those operations. At the same time, we incorporate measures to improve their readiness so that this cycle is a virtuous cycle. Every time we do this assessment, we expect better results, therefore a better readiness for digital adoption.
Bob, I have Bob Raman here.
Yes.
I have one question to Esteban. So Esteban in his presentation talked about IoT devices and then being tagged into the wheels. How is the performance of the devices tagged into the wheels? I mean, are they very reliable? Because these IoT devices, they have never been tested for long shelf life the way you have the systems for PLC or control systems. So how do you feel the life of these devices being tagged onto the field?
Thank you. That's a very good question, Raman. So we did a due diligence and we scouted for the best performing devices. We found the solution that we consider to be benchmark, and we partnered with the vendor to deploy in the operations. What we're doing at the moment, and we're in a very good stage, is we're having a strategic integration between the shop floor and the top floor. What does that mean? If you look at the ISA 95 pyramid, we enhanced that pyramid with additional stages, and we're now covering the technology stack. That means coming from the edge to the cloud, all through our PLCs, SCADA systems, shop floor connectivity, edge devices, MES systems, ERP systems, PLM systems, and even advanced analytic systems. And this is how we're addressing that transformation. We want to make sure that we see everything in an ecosystem instead of isolated solutions that might have challenges by integrating themselves into an additional ecosystem.
Okay, thank
there
you.
is one more question, Bob,
Yes.
from Mr. Rakesh Dash. How do you monitor the value from the initiatives? Are there separate KPIs being built to evaluate the effectiveness?
Thank you. That's a good question. So before we launch an initiative, we are doing the ROI calculation for that. And as I mentioned before, if the initiative is 18 months or less in ROI, it's being considered. And then on deployment, we calculate the actual hard savings on that initiative, and we measure that against what the calculation was at the beginning. So this is how we're driving the value. After that, we go into scaling up once the value is being proven.
Okay, thank you. One thing I'd like to pick up on, Esteban, is I know you mentioned M&A, and I think often when you have long programs that stretch over multiple years, and it doesn't have to be digital transformation, it could be any kind of company initiative. Certainly when I was working in manufacturing in the 1990s, one of the big things then was about quality. How do we improve quality? And let's start all these quality projects. Everyone is enthusiastic to begin with, and there's a lot of success, but as time goes on, there tends to be fatigue. And that's especially when perhaps people leave the company, the champion leaves, or there's M&A and new people come in. So how do you keep up the momentum of interest and enthusiasm in this project?
We equate quality to value, Bob. So we're constantly working on how to generate value from our operations, and quality means also higher uptimes, lesser scrapping. And by doing that, we understand that if we improve on those areas, we will also improve on our bottom line. Therefore, there is a constant drive on sharing best practices, targeting. We have internal quality audits. We work with our customers for quality audits, and we have Kpis all across our company for all these quality-related initiatives. So quality will be and stays, and you can imagine, being a wheel, we don't want to have failure on quality there.
Yeah, but so for the program as a whole, how are you managing to maintain the momentum of people's interest in this? Because they may be, this is bright and shiny and exciting when you start, and then a few years down the road, oh no, not this again. So how do you keep up that interest and enthusiasm of your people?
We have a very driven global quality manager, and he's constantly scouting on ways, and we also measure quality, and we praise quality. We have metrics and KPIs, and so we don't only do the PDAC cycle, but we also praise those plants that succeed in achieving the highest quality targets. So there is an internal drive cycle, a virtuous cycle that breeds into the companies to achieve success.
And since your digital transformation is being deployed across multiple multiple facilities,
there are two more questions. Okay, just one. There are two more questions.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Bob. Again, Lina here. We have one big question from Mr. Tek Ming Leon. When we implement transformation, changes in way of working is expected, especially on the front line. Not all digitalization is benefiting frontline, and some changes are impacting their core work, and this lead frontline staff reluctant for changes. Any tips or experiences to effectively driving the transformation at working level?
That's an excellent question. So we make sure that our shop floor employees are also part of these initiatives. So the teams are not just composed of people somewhere in an office. They're really, truly cross-functional teams, scouting for technologies that also make changes to their way of working. And yes, you're right. Some of those workers were maybe working 20, 30 years with a specific process, and having them adopt new processes where maybe you're telling them, look, machine learning is telling me that we need to improve this. And the team member might say, hang on, I've been doing this for 30 years and we know that this doesn't work. And we need to sit with them together and get their buy-in to try these new options. We have had success, but you're right. Sometimes in the shop floor, we're finding our hardest challenge. On the other side, and I forgot to mention, and it's a key initiative, none of this that I mentioned before can be done without our people. So at the moment, we're talking about technology and transformation and adoption, but it's all done by people. So a key initiative that we launched, and we have completed over 1,500 trainings, is our Digital Transformation Academy. So we keep introducing trainings, courses for all of our functions and operations to get them to better understand digital transformation and be more adaptable, more receptive to these initiatives. We also launched our white papers that go all across and are published also on bulletin boards, so that our complete labor force is aware of this initiative.
Hi, there is one more question from the same person, Tech. Not all deployment has a clear value, especially in the energy sector. ROI may not available for all digital initiative. Any advice on dealing this situation?
It's a very good question, and I beg to differ there. So we launched our energy management platform, and we're doing analytics on energy management. And then we have detected that there is a significant cost saving in our operations if we use our energy in a smart way. On the other side, we can also use this data to understand predictive maintenance, because when there is strong fluctuations in energy, especially in electric energy, and we haven't taken the necessary measures to normalize that, we might have unforeseen, unpredicted fallout of the electric equipment. Therefore, yes, it's maybe not the crystal clear, but if you do your analytics on a given period of time, you might even change the way that you're running your shifts to optimize your energy consumption. Because as you know, at least for electricity, but for other utilities as well, demand different times of the day has a different price tag. So there might be processes that you can postpone to when the price of electricity is lower during those off-peak hours, and by doing that, you're already generating revenue.
Yeah, that's all from our side, Q&A.
Okay, thank you. So Esteban, I presume Maxine has some very large automotive customers, and I know that this industry is very, very competitive.
Hi, Bob, one more question. Sorry, it has come now. Driving digital transformation in a product industry versus doing the same in service industry. Can you throw some light as how to go about in service industry? In product industry, we can evaluate the tangible benefits and cost savings. How about service industry? This becomes tough. Implementing an automation process is easy, but that's not digital transformation.
I'm not too sure about that, but on my first take, I can tell you, if you have a disaggregated set of data that doesn't give you the right analytics about your service, that doesn't give you the right insights in how to improve that service. First thing, you need to understand what that service is costing you to deliver today and what benefit it's giving you today. If you have the data to analyze that, then you can immediately begin deriving insights on how to improve on that. And this is how then, if you do those actions, you can measure the cost of what it was versus the cost and benefit of what it is. And that will give you your financial benefit.
Yeah, that's it.
You were saying
thank
something.
you.
Got interrupted.
Mr. Rakesh, thanks Radvan for excellent words of wisdom. Thanks, Rakesh.
Okay,
yeah, pressure.
So I was just going to say, Esteban, I know the automotive industry is a very competitive sector. I'm sure you have some very large customers. So are they aware of what you're doing in terms of digital?
Oh yeah. Not only, we recently launched a product for Tesla, right? So we engaged with Tesla. And for Tesla, it's critical to understand how we're doing our manufacturing and digitally following on our manufacturing traceability all the way up to visual inspection, because this is important as a value chain in the sense of, okay, if we need to improve, do we have the footprint, the data on those processes, on those products to improve? if we have a quality issue, which we are trying to avoid all the time with our digital solutions, can we track and trace that? And so it's determinant now in some of our bidding with some of our customers to have that digital adoption. It's a differentiator.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. And perhaps do they also come around and see your facilities? Do they actually see some of the technology in action?
Yes. At the moment, we're doing digital plant tours because traveling is not allowed.
That's true,
but in normal circumstances, we would be doing plant visits, and we have plant visits. We also get customer audits of our facilities all around the world. They want to understand where we are because they don't want to have our supply chain or their supply chain interrupted. So they need to have, and we offer this opportunity.
Okay. And finally, from my side, you mentioned, I think it was the Manufacturing Leadership Award that you won against some very high-class companies. So, what do you think were the reasons for you coming out with that award?
Well, I think it was the good work of the people, first of all, and secondly, the innovative adoption of our processes and smart technologies. It was done with a partner. And the defining factor was this good collaboration in innovative way of using technology in a smart way, because it's not always technology for technology's sake, but technology, as I mentioned before, to add value. We're running it up this year as well, so I'm waiting to see what's coming up in the 2021 Manufacturing Leadership Awards. We keep our fingers crossed, and that is. Let's put it in this way. We never adopted that technology to apply for the award. We adopted it in such a way that it would make sense for us. And as a result, we came into this award.
Okay, well, yes, congratulations again.
Thanks.
Lena, if there's no more questions, I think I will hand back to Raman. Can I check?
Yeah, I'll have one more question to ask you. Considering that you are totally tied up in automotive industry, I'm sure you must be getting a lot of customer feedbacks. How do you document into the system for design improvements?
This is a collaboration with the customers. So all our OEMs, and just to, and it works in both ways. So the OEMs give us the design of the wheel, and then we generate the wheel. So they give us the way they would like the wheel to look and the specifications, and we take that to a design. In many cases, we propose to the customer what would make more sense for their vehicle, and they take over this. So it's a continuous dialogue between the engineering teams, the advanced engineering teams, and the OEM engineering teams. And this is always incorporated in the design cycle.
Thanks, Esteban. If there are no further questions, Bob, we can wind up. It's fine.
Okay, sure.
I'll ask Lena to give her winding remarks on this. Next slide.
Hi, I have an announcement from ERC on the upcoming online events and the past events. So tentatively, we have fixed 25th March as a next DTC Council, DTC Asia Council event. And we also have a forum scheduled regionally, ARC Advisory Group Regional Forums, Europe Virtual Forum on May 18th and 19th, 2021, India Virtual Forum on July 8th and 9th, 2021, Japan Virtual Forum on July 13th and 14th, 2021. And also, we have recently completed our US Forum in February 2021. So we request you to log in to view the ARC Industry, Smart Cities, Energies and Utilities US Forums archived videos, which will be available for next 3 months. And we thank you for participating in this event. We thank our speaker, Esteban Remex, Chief Information Officer, Maxine, for participating in this DTC Asia event, Driving Digital Transformation. We also like to thank Bob Gill, General Manager, ARC Advisory Group, for topic introduction. We thank all the delegates who had joined the webinar, and same way looking forward for your support on the upcoming events. Finally, we thank ARC Advisory Group India team for all the logistics support. Once again, we thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Lena. Thanks, Bob. Thanks,
everybody.
Esteban.
Pleasure,
Have a
and
great evening.
next time we can see you in person as well again soon.
Yes, definitely.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.